So our first speaker today is in a really good position to explain to us how the benefits of storytelling and that engagement with the audience can help grow a digital brand. So please welcome, and I know it's been a long evening for some of us more than others, but it is time to sort of rouse ourselves. And normally at this point I'd do a few sort of exercises, but I think we're all grown-ups, we're all a little bit beyond that. So I'm just going to rely on your goodwill to give an absolutely colossal Digital Innovators Summit welcome to the SVP for International Media at National Geographic USA. Are you ready? Yulia Boyle, hooray!
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, everyone, for morning greetings. Last time I saw many of you was at FIP in Toronto, in the World FIP Summit. And at that time, I used to work for National Geographic Society. I don't work there anymore, actually. Now I work for National Geographic Partners. And it seems like it's a small change, just one word, National Geographic to National Geographic Partners, but what a whirlwind of change it has been over the last 120 years since we expanded our JV with 21st Century Fox. And really, in these 120 days since the formation of our larger joint venture with 21st Century Fox, when all of our society's assets, commercial assets, have moved from National Geographic to National Geographic Partners, the speed of innovation has accelerated. And for sure that National Geographic Society has been innovating and disrupting itself for over 120 years. Since the first time when photography has appeared in the magazine in 1906, and National Geographic, as many of you know, has been established in 1888. But in 1906, our first editor, Gil Grosvenor, decided to put photos in the magazine. And what happened after that is 2 board members have resigned in disgust because they said that, oh my God, you're turning the reputable journal into a photo book? Imagine if photography didn't appear in National Geographic. Photography has become the iconic strength of National Geographic Society that propelled us to become #1 media on Instagram today. So, but this disruption and this innovation is going to only accelerate because we're now well diversified. We're very lucky to be in that position. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update where National Geographic, as new corporate structure, National Geographic Partners, where it is today, where we are going, and how we're going to be connecting with our consumers wherever they are, continuing in the best National Geographic tradition to tell incredible stories in the most innovative way. So the transaction that officially closed November 16, 2015, moved all of the commercial assets, the magazines, the channel, digital media, consumer products, books, and all kids media into a new structure. The beneficiary of transaction was National Geographic Society. $750 million was paid in consideration from 21st Century Fox to National Geographic Society. And the move was conceptualized really as a transformational business strategy, because not only it allowed National Geographic Society to more than double its endowment for exploration, science, and storytelling, which became over $1 billion today, but it would have taken National Geographic 30 years, assuming that the business was going at the same level, which we all know it is not going at the same level, being reliant on magazine in a lot of our businesses. It would have taken 30 years for society to reach a level of $1.2 billion. So if any of you have questions why this transformation and why this consolidation happened, this is one of the major reasons. So today, we continue our mission. National Geographic Society remains to be a nonprofit organization that gives grants for exploration and science to fantastic explorers around the world. And then we take that content that comes from the field and we turbocharge it through our storytelling mechanisms, through channel, books, magazines, live events, and we create stories, and we touch hearts and minds of our audiences. So while a lot of things changing, a lot of things are remaining the same, we at NG Partners think that we are actually very well positioned to meet the challenging environments of today because our business model is based on investing in science. In fact, we are the only media company today that gives 27% of its proceeds directly into funding science and exploration. So things that are staying the same. I mean, the main core activities of National Geographic partners remain content creation, which defines our brand. We are also distributing content in multiple platforms, building audiences and building our relationship with those audiences. And we are monetizing our brand through consumer experiences, through live events, and various programs. And here, as a new company that is actually joining together two companies right now, are four strategic priorities. We will continue align all of our storytelling assets, magazines, books, and channel storytelling under multimedia platform environment. We're going to expand on global experiences. Outside of channel and outside of our magazine that has been very prominent in international arena, all the other areas of businesses like global experiences, travel, and kids have not been very big outside of the United States and Canada. And this is what we're going to do because international is a strategic priority for National Geographic partners that's going to run across all four verticals. And here I have to thank our local language partners. We deal with over 120 partners around the world. Many of you are here today. And I have to say that if it were not for the magazine and for the investment of our licensing partners, National Geographic Channel would not have been that successful because our partners came in each of the territory first and set up the marketing strategies, the messaging, and then we made our channel very successful after that. So now a little bit about what we are doing as National Geographic partners and how we are innovating in this new environment. When the transaction closed, Emily Bell from The Guardian said that National Geographic has arguably become News Corp's most innovating digital asset. And recently, Adweek has called us the king of the social media jungle. So I wanted to share with you today how we got this reputation and how we continue to meet the demands of our audiences by telling the story in different formats, by tailoring the content to meet their expectations. And while we don't have many of the answers yet, I think we have seen some things that have worked, and we're very eager to share with you today. Some of the ingredients, really three fundamentals that I think help us succeed today is a compelling visually led content that is our strategic resource, visually arresting National Geographic content that helps us reach minds and hearts of people. Multi-platform distribution, telling the story from channel to live events to kids' experiences. And of course, compelling user experience. We are trying to simplify what we do on the web and on other platforms, help discoverability of our content and help people to engage with it in a very intimate way. A little bit about our content. While we talk all the time about targeting, scalability, optimizing distribution spend, we really can't get there if we don't have the greatest content. And content for us at National Geographic really starts with these wonderful people. These are diverse, young, innovators. We call them dreamers, actually, but they have real professions. They're explorers, photographers, filmmakers, scientists, adventurers, who are funded by National Geographic Society through grants. And they go to the edge of the world and bring us the best stories like no one else. And every piece of content that they bring, National Geographic partners then translates into stories that have to adhere to 5 journalistic principles. This is what our head of content, Susan Goldberg, has put out as most important 5 principles that have to run through all of our media. And here they are. Our content has to make a difference. Like the story of Syrian refugees that we started covering live when the crisis just happened, and we continue covering it live today through photography of John Steinmeier and many others who work for us, for the magazine, for the web, and for our social media. We do what others can't because they don't have our technology, they don't have our photographic talent, and we stick to our core competencies. Like, for instance, National Geographic really owns the animal category. Not only we are very successful with animal content in the magazine, online, well, in the magazine and in books, but online animals are #1 content driver for us. And the top Facebook traffic is also driven by animals. In fact, the biggest story for us last year in 2015, most engaged with story, was a story about unbelievably cute mammal with a teddy bear face. So this is what people like. We have to be a part of conversation, and we cannot be afraid to get in front of the news and tackle difficult subjects. Even though they may not sell on the cover of the magazine, newsstand is a small part of our circulation. We still are 4 million in subscriptions per month, and very small percentage, only 3% goes on newsstand, but still it's an important revenue source for us still. Well, we have to tackle difficult subjects like the climate change. Our Cool It cover was distributed at the highly anticipated, very important Paris UN summit on climate change last year. And the cover with all these ugly vegetables splattered across the yellow border is actually talking about a very relevant subject of food waste that we're covering now online and in print, kind of a little bit of an example of our bolder approach to inviting people to get our magazine and engage with it. The other principle, we have to act urgently. And there is a developing story in Egypt right now. A lot of our grantees and many other scientists and paleoanthropologists and archaeologists are in Egypt now, looking behind King Tut's tomb, where Queen Nefertiti might be found. Last Thursday, there was an announcement that there's some organic matter, and they found something that may be Queen Nefertiti. So we are covering that live. We are everywhere with this story, and we already have a newsstand special ready to get on the newsstand in a few days if indeed that lucky discovery happens. Could be the biggest story ever. And we need to know who we are. We have to have our own strong voice, and travel is an area where National Geographic had its strong authoritative voice on sustainable, responsible eco-travel. We're tying together all of our travel assets, our expeditions business that is growing 20% year on year, that is something that we're expanding internationally now, and we're tying it with travel magazine and with travel books and guidebooks. In terms of how the content is created and what goes into creation of the content, it has to be real time. And yesterday we talked a lot about it, and Duncan talked about month-to-moment strategy. We have adopted that strategy several years ago, and we publish probably 10 to 15 times a day on a 24/7 cycle. So we're no longer the yellow border stacked magazine that is stacked somewhere in your grandparents' basement or attic. We're actually a multimedia company, and we are a news company that gives context to daily news. We drive our story with personalities, like the discovery last year in South Africa by our explorer and grantee, Lee Berger, who found a rare species of our ancestors. And we are local. We actually are leveraging the power of our local language partners from all over the world to bring the local relevance to our US stories. In fact, this year we are doubling the content that we take from our local language partners to publish it in the US magazine and online. One thing that we're not good at, and I'm looking at our colleagues here at Time Inc. and Hearst, who have the great content management system when all of this content from around the world can be fed to a big system which we can all use to power our media. We don't have that yet, but this is a big priority for us to really build up the technology or partner with companies that already have that technology. On the channel, we are undergoing a lot of changes with the 2.0 strategy, and our global channel CEO, Courtney Monroe, who comes from HBO, has really adopted the HBO strategy. You're going to see less hours of content, but you're going to see high production value content, and working with Academy Award-winning writers, filmmakers, producers, directors, and actors. We are set to become the world's leading destination for premium science, adventure, and exploration content. And for example, Story of God, led by Morgan Freeman, it's a wonderful story that's airing next month, where Morgan Freeman is going to be the lead narrator, as well as leading the National Geographic teams around the world, looking at various religions, coming back with a very simple and human message that we have so much in common, that all religions have the same fundamentals. So it's a really beautiful story. And I have to tell you that if I ever heard a voice of God in my head, it always sounded like Morgan Freeman. So I am really, really happy that this is the selection that we made in terms of our lead. And we're continuing to align the mission of National Geographic Channel to the mission of society. So you will see a lot more topics that have been covered in National Geographic magazine that are covered in the channel. So our second fundamental, yes, we have to be everywhere. We have to be everywhere where people congregate and tell a story across platforms. And we have been also very much fascinated by intersection of great content and technology. For many, many years, we're now looking for the right mix of content and technology, not to make it cumbersome for our readers and audiences, but to bring them exciting innovations in content. In fact, Steve Jobs has demoed one of the first apps on the iPad when it launched was the 50 greatest photography, one of the most successful digital products that we had to date. So today we are reaching 730 million people worldwide. And what we're discovering today is that we are becoming very popular outside of our traditional channels. Magazine is still large, television is very popular, but people want to associate with us and find other touch points, which we're building up now, exhibits and events, thought leader forums. People want to travel with National Geographic through our private jet program, expeditions and trips. So we want to create an environment where people can associate with us through all of these platforms. Internationally, through magazines and books and through our local language partners, we are reaching 200 million people. That includes our English language edition, in 80 countries and in 40 languages, with a total circulation of 8 million monthly paid circulation. And last year, we produced 2.4 million books in local languages around the world. Through our channel, we reach 500 million households in 171 countries. And what is happening now with this expanded joint venture is that we actually have 68 offices around the world that are started on the basis of National Geographic operations, National Geographic Channel's operations, and they're tasked to work with us, centrally in DC, under one P&L to expand all of our businesses, to work in coordination with our local language partners, and to build up our non-channel businesses that have not scaled up internationally to date. On the digital side, because we were able to create a workflow, to create a system where content is conceived from the very beginning, having digital audiences in mind, we have experienced a significant growth over the last 3 years, achieving 25 million uniques on our nationalgeographic.com site and 11 million uniques internationally through our magazine sites. And this is one interesting example that I wanted to share with you as I'm talking about aligning our storytelling across platforms and leveraging the investment that we do in magazines and channels and tell a story in 360 way. This is an example of a reality show that we produced in India through our National Geographic Indian channel in association with National Geographic Traveler and National Geographic Magazine India, where 8 amateur photographers are fighting for the right to have the best photo to be on the cover of National Geographic magazine. So I wanted to show you this video.
Eight amateur photographers battle it out for the ultimate glory to capture the best moments of picturesque Sri Lanka.
I'm going to be starting my trek up the Adams Peak from here. It's going to be a good 4.5 hour trek up there.
1 hour, walking, one hour, running, and walking.
This place is all about faith.
It's one of the most beautiful sunrises I've ever seen, and it's totally worth the trek up.
That was just a peacock.
We were just going ahead and a wild boar just ran across.
Where?
The leopard on a branch there. It's not very clear.
We want you to go out and capture the magic of this festival.
Okay, man. Just loving it over here.
I've never experienced anything like this. It's truly magnificent.
What's your age?
91.
It's amazing to see how such a huge city has been found and people are here taking such good care of it.
The caption for today's challenge is a fusion story.
I think today my pictures are going to talk.
Bring every destination to life, NatGeo style.
So we really think it's a wonderful synergy, and we'd love to bring that show. We have 38 local language editions of the magazine. We have 18 editions of Traveler. So we're working with our channel to conceptualize a local program to feature local photographers that can be on the cover of the magazine in their local edition or in the United States as well. In social, we have seen a lot of success in social, and I'll give you a couple of examples of why this is the case. But we're trying to be smarter because a lot of people know us because of the channel or the magazine. We're trying to make sure that the appropriate content gets to the right people, those who like to associate with us with channel, through events, or through magazine. And like Tori Patterson yesterday of Shipstead said yesterday in the morning, that our 80-year-old consumers don't want the same content as our 20-year-olds, and we used to think that they may want the same, but we are changing now. So we're really changing how we're building the story, how we're building the cadence through which we're providing content in social. And that really has resonated with audiences. And according to Sherably's research and survey from third quarter of 2015, National Geographic is #1 brand on social media across the 3 platforms surveyed: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, with over 482 million social actions. So this is pretty incredible. Yesterday also we heard from Lucy about BuzzFeed, and we're looking up to BuzzFeed on a lot of their innovations, especially in travel content, and the lists and all of that they do. But we were surprised and very kind of honored and humbled to see that the next closest publisher to us was BuzzFeed, with slightly less, 8 times less, in fact, total social actions. So we are also very interested in seeing that we're #1 ahead of NFL, NBA, MLB, MTV, but not only that, also Victoria's Secret. Apparently, animals are producing more social action than Victoria's Secret models. Another interesting anthropological fact. So it's really fantastic. We're working with all new and old media players and trying to tailor our content to their devices, to the way they want to engage with the audiences. And there are two examples where we are actually very, very successful is Instagram, where in fact, we have given the keys and the usernames and password to our account to 90 most prominent National Geographic photographers. So we don't do anything. We don't really curate it. We have 90 photographers that work for the magazine. They work for all of our media. They post from all of their locations from around the world. And that led to 53 million Instagram fans for National Geographic today. So, and the strategy also worked because we are not commercial. We try, it's not that we try, we are completely non-commercial on Instagram, on our main feed. And we are not selling product, we're not selling photos or posters. And the strategy worked because engagement is very large, and 75% of people that engage with us out of the 53 million are in fact millennials. So National Geographic is getting much, much younger. And on Snapchat, another good example, another success story for us, we get about 400 to 600 clicks per day on Snapchat, so it's a pretty good statistic. And the reason we're so popular with a younger demographic is that we're not afraid to be playful, to entertain, to tackle quite serious subjects, but in a very light way. And here's a little example of some series of videos that we did for younger generation.
On average, which of the following contains the most bacteria? A, your computer keyboard, B, a toilet flush handle, C, your phone, or D, a doorknob? The answer? C, your phone. Yep, what you're viewing this video on right now could be carrying about 10 times more bacteria than toilet seats and 18 times more bacteria than what you'd find on toilet flush handles. And that is 1,000,000 times more disgusting than I could have ever imagined.
And of course, we're doing all of that because we want to drive engagement, and in the end of the day, of course, we need to make money. So here's 3 examples. We do post a lot of social media directly on Facebook. We do post a lot of content and short-form video content on Facebook because we realize that Facebook's content recommendation algorithm gives preference to their own video player, and you know, then it determines what content appears in the feed. So we post about 10 to 12 times a day directly into Facebook. Get a lot of engagement. We do a lot of sponsored media as well, although we are very conscious about the cadence, because we realize that every time when the content is not the lead of a conversation, we're losing engagement. So we are being very cautious about the cadence. But this was a great set of short-form videos that came from our collaboration with General Electric. Last year, we did a TV series on National Geographic channel on breakthrough examples in science powered by General Electric. And these are sort of offshoots. We have about 100 short-form video that is sponsored by General Electric. On Instagram, not through a main feed, but through our sort of secondary feed, we do contests and have been very successful in revenue generation there. We work with a lot of tourism boards, and this contest was for Visit Emirates. We got 13,000 entries in just 8 weeks, and we increased our client's account by 66,000 fans. Now, of course, I talked a lot about our content and visually led content, how important it is, about bringing all these audiences together, but all of that will not amount to much if we don't create an environment where it's easy to see our content, where it's easy to discover it, easy to share it. So we're spending a lot of time, a lot of our teams, tech teams that have been hired by National Geographic partners are looking into simplifying our experience and looking at what really drives the interest and what motivates our consumers. So there are 3 examples that I wanted to share with you about user experience, and there are 3 very different examples. One is that we really don't have a good experience in the digital internationally, which we're trying to solve now together with our local language partners. The second one is a very successful community, very successful digital product that we have, Your Shot. And NatGeo One is really a North Star vision, something that we are striving towards. So number 1, United Digital Hub. We currently have National Geographic digital footprint represented by channels separately. In some countries, we have multiple partners, maybe 5 different magazine and book partners. Each of them have their own website. Each of them has multiple social media in their countries, and we try to now unify all of that in order to achieve more scale, because none of us are successful when we're doing it in this kind of a bifurcated way. So this is a big initiative we've undertaken to create a unique digital brand destination, state-of-the-art, designed natively, build partnerships between publishing and channel, and really to monetize by offering a 360 integrated deals and pitching it together with our partners. So I hope I can update you in the next 6 to 12 months about how we're doing. In terms of one of our most successful digital products is Your Shot. And our readers have already learned a long time ago, and our audiences, that photography is really what drives National Geographic and what makes audiences engage. So we created this community of 650 passionate photographers who get advice and who have direct connection with our photographic editorial teams, and who associate with our lifestyle brand and get recognized. The best pictures from the community get published in the magazine and online. It is a beautiful user experience. It's very easy to upload large format photos, and that's why people come to this site, and they spend, in fact, 3 times more time on this portion of the site than on any other. So if we have 3 minutes on average on our website, this is roughly about 9 to 10 minutes. And NatGeo One Vision, this is a product that we're working on. We have a successful SVOD product for our National Geographic channel, where you can download 3,000 videos, long-form format documentaries, but we think it's not enough. We want all of our audiences to associate with National Geographic from one dashboard, where we can have all of our daily news, kids content, videos. They can book a trip from us, so everything is on one platform. So this is what we're creating. We're going to be launching it in Brazil and Australia as first test territories. And in conclusion, I wanted to leave you with one very moving story, just to tell again how National Geographic continues to find new formats on how to tell the story through this very creative medium. Joel Sartori, one of our most prominent photographers, has traveled around the world and made 6,000 intimate portraits of animals that are on the brink of extinction. And in order to attract attention, international attention, policymakers' attention, and really do something about this situation, we did the following.
In 200 years, people will look back on this particular period and say to themselves, how did those people at that time just allow all these amazing creatures to vanish? But it would be very little use in me or anybody else exerting all this energy to save the wild places if people are not being educated into being better stewards than we've been. If we all lose hope, there is no hope. Without hope, people fall into apathy. There's still a lot left that's worth fighting for.
So buildings is another medium that we should use in telling our stories. That's it, really. Thank you so much. This is the mission of National Geographic, and we continue to stay true to this mission. Thank you very much.
Will you take a question, if there is one? So probably just time for one quick question from the floor, and there's one straight in front of me here. If we can get a microphone. And in the meantime, we might like, if we can, to get some chairs on stage for our fireside chat, if that's possible.
Good morning. I have a question. Your heritage has always been to be a non-profit research organization. How do you just keep track of that in this quite large commercial?
Thank you very much. We basically split up in two organizations. We have a non-profit part of our mission and our organization will remain intact. In fact, National Geographic Society continues to function as 501c3 status organization, which is a non-profit organization in the United States. And National Geographic Partners is a joint venture with National Geographic Society. So the 27% of all of the proceeds that we make goes back into funding exploration. That is what differentiates us as a corporation, as a media company, because we actually fund science and exploration through our sister organization, National Geographic Society.
Okay. We have to press on, I'm afraid, but can I ask you please to thank Yulia for that great presentation? Thank you.